Well, hello, everybody. My name is Justin Halley. I'm the Director of Enterprise Sales here at Feedvisor. Today, we're going to talk through how 1P brands can effectively transition to 3P on Amazon. I am very fortunate to be joined by Brian Williams. Ryan is Director of Finance and Special Projects at Rise Brewing. Perfect. So what we're hoping to do today, we're going to give a little bit of an introduction on who Feedvisor is, give a little introduction on who Rise Brewing is. I'm talking through about some of the ways that Rise Brewing evaluated 1P versus 3P as they were making decisions on their Amazon business. And in the process, we'll be taking some questions, hopefully answering everything that the team, that the participants have to have on the 1P versus 3P front. So perfect. By all means, if there's questions, feel free to put them into the question section. And at the end of this presentation, we're going to get to them. Perfect. So the ways of introduction about Feedvisor. Feedvisor is an end-to-end AI first solution for large sellers and brands on Amazon. Our solution set encompasses repricing, strategic advertising, campaign optimization, branding, content management. The crux of the solution helps drives greater demand to product pages on Amazon, ultimately getting better category rank, improving product profits and revenue growth. A little bit about Rise. I think Ryan can take it away on this one.
Awesome. Yeah. Again, it's great to be here. I know I'm our Director of Finance over at Rise, but also Special Projects, of which Amazon has certainly been very special for us. So our quick background is Rise began as a passion project among 4 friends in Greenwich that were fans of cold brew, and really just as a hobby were experimenting with different types of beans from all over the world, and happened to have a friend that worked at a beer brewery, and through that friend discovered that cold brew is even better when you infuse it with nitrogen. It lends a creaminess and an awesome texture that you can't get with just standard coffee. They brought the initial samples of that product to some parties around town, and before they knew it, we had kegs of our coffee in hundreds of offices throughout New York, Connecticut, and now all across the country. Our next evolution is many of those customers started demanding a ready-to-drink option, and so about a year and a half ago, we launched into that space, and we've been really taking off both in retail and online, especially with Amazon, and that we have a product that's pretty unique within coffee. First, it's organic. Second, it's shelf stable, which means it doesn't need to be refrigerated, which obviously opens up e-commerce to us in a more powerful way than a product that has a cold chain cycle. And then finally, they're all infused with nitrogen, which gives it a cool sound when you open them. I don't know if that'll get picked up by the audio, but it's been a really exciting few years of growth for us, and Feedvisor has been super helpful in the Amazon component of it.
Sorry about that, I'm mute still. The impetus behind this webinar today is the latest and greatest with Amazon news. As many out there have seen, Amazon over the past few weeks has put a little bit of uncertainty into the market, to say the least. The headlines that we've seen in major news organizations have shown how brands have been kicked off their 1P Vendor Central platform, told in some cases that they will be best serviced using a 3P option. In some cases, they were told nothing, only to have that news pulled back on them once again less than a week later. They were told that they would be able to sell on 1P the way that they would. POs would be fulfilled. However, if you didn't brand register yourself in the next 60 days, you will be off Vendor Central. So certainly in these past few weeks, we've heard from a lot of our clients, a lot of uncertainty, confusion about what to do, how to transition to 3P. When they were looking at a forced transition, and now with there's a little bit of runway, 60 days for those that aren't brand registered. Uh, there's a lot of questions that we're fielding on what are the benefits of being moving to 3P? How do I effectively transition to 3P? And we wanted to run this webinar to talk through some of these issues. So what is Amazon's third-party marketplace? Amazon's third-party marketplace allows brands to fulfill directly through Amazon without having to sell them their inventory. It gives them the ability to be flexible with how they position their product online, how they price, how they advertise, their inventory quantity, and it gives them that flexibility without, again, having to sell Amazon their inventory. So what I want to do in this part of the webinar was bring Brian back in to talk about some of the decisions why Rise decided to go into a third-party marketplace.
Awesome, thanks, and thank you for designing the presentation to show off our cans of coffee on every slide, or how big the coffee market is. Hopefully we can keep capturing some more of it. It's funny that this webinar is titled Transition, because for us, going with 3P was an upfront decision, but I think the same considerations that we looked over at the beginning when we were first getting set up with Amazon apply to anyone that's considering making a switch today. And so first among those was certainly control over pricing. As a brand that has a presence online, but also in retail, we thought about the importance of being able to control our price from a variety of ways. First, we want to know exactly what margin we're making on every product you sell. And when you are working with a variety of distributors, you have different margins all the time, versus online when you can control your ultimate price, you know exactly what your margin looks like. Second, just as part of a consumer experience, we thought it was really important that as our brand is available obviously on Amazon, but also our own website, Walmart, Thrive, Boxed, and a number of other online retailers, that a consumer that went to go purchase us was going to find the same price across the web and not feel like they needed to scour around to get the best deal. And we thought that experience is a frustrating one, and wanted everyone to know that, you know, if you buy a 12-pack of ours, it's going to be $34.99 no matter where you look, unless it's Prime Day or something special like that. Another thing we considered, and still under the domain of price, that I think a lot of people should keep in mind, is when you have flavors or varieties, as we do. When you work with 1P, my understanding, and I think this is still true, is the Amazon algorithms are going to look and see the velocity of each flavor or each variety of your product, you know, if it's a green wallet next to a blue wallet, and decide to adjust those prices slightly. And then from the consumer perception, it begs the question, like, why is the oat milk latte more expensive than the mocha latte? And we wanted to show that all our products are made with the highest quality organic ingredients, and they should all be priced the same because they're all made with the same level of quality and attention. And so being able to control price was really important to us. You certainly don't want to get into a bidding war among kind of the online retailers when they each lead each other on pricing. So I know I said pricing a lot, but I do think it's a really salient consideration for anyone switching to 3P, and a big advantage of being on 3P. Another thing that we considered was just kind of the logistics component of being a brand on 1P versus 3P. Well, at the outset, it might seem convenient to have Amazon just cut you a PO and fulfill exactly what they tell you each week. There's a lot of advantages to being able to send exactly what you think is the right amount whenever you want to do it. And so for us, that means sending, you know, a truckload or so at a time, and knowing that if there's some downtime in our brewery where we make our products, that we can fulfill an Amazon order and top off to what we think is the right quantity, not what Amazon thinks is the right quantity. And sometimes those two things can be different. Another just kind of component of that, the way the logistics work behind 1P is when you're first getting started, the Amazon algorithms are going to look at your account and see that you have a small velocity, and so they're going to place small orders. And if you sell through, um, they're going to place a slightly larger order the following week and a slightly larger order the week after that, and so forth. But that process can take quite a bit of time to ramp up. Versus if you want to come out strong right out of the gate, as we did, you can send as much inventory as you want, and you can, come out to the races, I guess, and not be constrained by whatever Amazon has decided to order. So the logistics component was important for us. And then finally, um, I would say, yeah, being able to design our pages and communicate our story has been really helpful. I spent a lot of time on our product detail pages, so if you're on them right now, hopefully you're placing an order and you're on your way to writing us a nice review. But being able to write exactly the copy you want, choose the images that you think best befit your product, and lay everything out within kind of the Amazon sandbox. You get that when you're on 3P, and you don't have it quite the same when you're on 1P. And then I know this is a long-winded explanation, but I think there's probably four things that really matter to us. And the final was just spending a bunch of time on those Amazon forums, which if you're a nerd like me, you can get lost in. And seeing people's discussions of kind of the quality of customer service that you get on 3P versus 1P. I found, from being completely clueless about Amazon just a year ago, that, everywhere from uploading your inventory to the, product requirements for being in grocery to labeling requirements, that Seller Central customer service has been pretty good given how large Amazon is. And alternatively, I've heard that on 1P it can be kind of a black box, and so being able to speak to a human when you have an issue, especially as you're an emerging brand, is something that we've really valued.
Thanks, that's awesome. And I want to reiterate that control that you have as a 3P brand. It affects you with respect to pricing, and if it's to your benefit with respect to inventory. It also allows you to understand on a SKU by SKU basis profitability. It allows you to look at returns on your products, to determine which products are profitable, that aren't having a high return rate, and that I want to continually reorder through FBA. So certainly sitting in my seat, I think 3P is a great option. But I think in today's marketplace, as Amazon is becoming more and more aggressive, it's more and more um, it's changing more and more. It's one thing to definitely keep in mind. Um, as I was mentioning before, the flexibility to position your brand is quite unique with the third party, because you're able to have that price control, because you're able to control your inventories and storage fees that are associated with it. And additionally, because you're able to access the data that Amazon provides, the transactional level in some cases information, to understand and model for yourself how your business needs to grow. You're not beholden to the Amazon algorithm that's driving you down in many cases to map price, some cases below map price. In many other cases, uh, competing against a lot of different sellers who are also selling at that low level. This gives you the opportunity, the ability to differentiate your product set and differentiate your price position so you can tell your brand story more effectively.
And I just quickly add to the data component. I know a lot of brands that I speak with that are growing online and using 3P, but also have their own websites, talk about control of their data, and as a reason why they want to own their own customers on their own websites. And sometimes I push and say, like, well, what exactly, are you getting on your website that you don't get on Amazon? And for 3P, like, yes, of course, you don't get customers' emails, you can't send marketing emails, but beyond that, like, you can see on the FBA listings report, like, where in the country people are buying your product. And so as a brand that has a focus on retail as well, information like that can be really helpful to say, like, oh, look, the population kind of distribution of the country looks like this, but our online sales look like, Y. Maybe we should focus on, signing up retailers in this market next. There's also some third-party tools that I think I'm not sure, Justin, maybe you're aware, that are available on the 3P marketplace that you don't necessarily get access to on 1P. Some of those are the follow-up emails, the ability to somewhat track down reviewers. And so I think there's just a little bit more tools that you can use when you're operating within 3P than 1P, where it's basically like you send the product to Amazon. As far as I understand it, that's about it.
Yeah, I think that it gives you more data, it surfaces more data in that back end that provides you to make better decisions. It's how Feedvisor's technology is able to optimize price positions, how we work with both sellers to maximize our profitability and win the buy box at the right way, right, rate, excuse me, as well as working with brands to be able to price their products in accordance to what other private label brands or competitor brands might be pricing their products. You have the ability to price match against your competitors. You can see the data, you can act upon it in a way that 1P just wouldn't give you that ability. So wanted to, let me just make sure that wanted to bring up some questions. There's been some fantastic questions that the group has been sharing since the conversation's been going on. I wanted to bring up those questions right now, but please feel free to keep asking them. And at the same time, I'm also going to launch a poll question as well. So there we go. So I'll have that up while we're answering some questions. Feel free to answer. So the first question's up. The first question up is, if you're 1P and want to go to a 1P, 3P hybrid model, do you tell your Amazon CSVS, sorry about that. So do you let Amazon know that you're looking to break up with them? I think is the question. I can take this right here. There are regulations in Amazon's agreement with you as a 1P brand that you cannot quote unquote double dip into the same product set that you're selling. With that said, there's exceptions to this rule with respect to e-commerce exclusivity. Being able to have a differentiated product set that's unique to online, that might be different than your traditional in-store product set, where you could be able to position that as a wholly unique product or a wholly unique bundle. That allows you the ability to open up new ASINs and open up your existing assortment beyond what you're already currently selling to Amazon 1P. Okay, let me see. Do you make recordings of this? Yes, we do make recordings of this. So next question. We've experienced if Amazon Retail has ever had, Amazon Retail has been involved in listings. Okay. We've experienced Amazon Retail being involved with a listing, that the content is locked in and 3P cannot edit it. Will that be true as people transition to 3P? So I think the question is, if there is a product that's launched as 1P, can you edit it as a third party?
I can only speak on 3P. That mute button. I can only speak as a 3P seller. So within enhanced brand content, which seems to evolve all the time, they've released video modules, they've released the product comparison module. So the kind of level of design that you're allowed within 3P, I first want to say that it's quite improved even in the last year. And then with respect to the content you can write and the flexibility within the page, we've found it to be pretty open, with the exception of kind of standard requirements that I think apply to both 1 and 3P. So for example, you can't talk about your competitors. You can't talk about awards that you've won in a really specific way. You can't talk about like product return guarantees, but those are stipulations that apply on both sides of the platform. And I would imagine if you switch to 3P, you'll have access to all the enhanced brand content modules that we currently do, and all 3P brand register sellers do. And you'll be able to write whatever copy you see fit, use whatever whatever photos you want to use, and yeah, should be no problem.
And further, brand registry, which would be the part of Amazon that provides you the ability to trademark your material, your digital assets, your text-based assets. That's available for both the 1P and 3P brands. This is a tool set that actually that they're pushing all 3P sellers onto, and if excuse me, 1P sellers onto, and if you're not, they're going to kick you off 1P specifically, but it is available across 1P and 3P. This one is going to be for Ryan. Anything unique to selling liquids via 3P versus other goods that don't have liquid in it? So a liquid product, is it? I imagine weight's probably up there.
Yeah, a couple things on that. So I don't think it's necessarily liquid, but the grocery category itself has its own requirements, and I think also some anything that's expiration dated has some specific requirements, and you need to get category approval from Amazon in order to sell it. And so that requires just submitting some food registrations in order to have them unlock that category from your account. I imagine if you're in 1P, you have to submit the same documentation in order for them to start working with you as a vendor. So less a liquid, component than selling any sort of consumable product. Liquid, obviously is quite dense, and so the way that your fulfillment fees are assessed is I think it's called dimensional weight, and it's a combination, or not a combination, it's kind of a whichever is greater between the dimensions of the product and the weight of the product. If you just Google FBA fulfillment fees, you'll see some formulas that break down which category your product fits into, and then there's typically a base price and then a price per pound above the base price. And so for liquid, because it's just very dense, our fees are more a function of the weight of the product versus if we were selling styrofoam little things, it would be more based on the volume than the weight. So nothing specific about liquid though beyond that.
Awesome, thank you. If a vendor registers their brand with Amazon, can they still have a hybrid 1P, 3P model? So brands do have the ability to sell throughout different channels on Amazon. I think Amazon does hold the first right to own your inventory. However, there are a host of brands out there that have a split model, 1P, 3P, that use the brand registry to ensure that their copy is correct and that no third parties are putting incorrect trademarks or images or violating brand registry. Okay. Next question. If you already have product on Amazon as a 1P, how do you delete that product and their detail pages? So deleting a product off 1P, I would imagine starving the inventory is probably a good way to start getting it delisted off Amazon. If you never sell them the inventory and you take back the PO, if it's not being available in another distribution channel that Amazon would be able to get access to, they wouldn't have access. They wouldn't be able to sell that listings, and it would get delisted in short order.
Yeah,
Um,
that's actually one quick point that I wanted to bring up that people should be conscious of. Um, if you are selling to other people, especially if you have distributors, at a price that allows kind of arbitrage between what you're selling to, I guess, other third parties and what you want to list your product for. So look, it's probably easier with just some specific numbers. If you're selling your widget to a distributor for 20 bucks and someone can buy that product from the distributor for 25 bucks and they can pay $5 of fulfillment and what's it called, and marketing fees to Amazon, their total cost is $30. If your intended retail price is anything above $30, there's an arbitrage opportunity for other people that are able to obtain your product at a low enough price to fight with you on your own map. And so one thing If you're transitioning to 3P and you want to make sure that you don't battle resellers of your product, if you have especially your own brand and you want to make sure that you win the buy box 100% of the time because ultimately you have control over the manufacturing of that product, you just need to take into account how low you're selling it to other people for, and then what their total cost is, and whether that cost allows them to make a profit at a price below what your map is. Um, Hope that's a helpful thing to consider.
I think that's solid. So I think this is a big question now. Why is Amazon doing this? Why is Amazon forcing this one piece switch? Is it simply because they're trying to make money? Probably. I don't know if it's simply, I wouldn't put it simply. I think the way that they described it in their letters to vendors while they were taking them off Vendor Central, or telling them that they should consider switching, is that the opportunity for them to provide the best customer service possible, which would be through the Seller Central platform. Ultimately, Amazon has been can't realize a profitability crapping out. Sorry, I want to just preface what it is before I say crap. Crapping out products because of their algorithmic repricing model, where they're driving that price point down. They no longer are looking to be in the penny margins business when it comes to it, from what we've seen. Penny margins business when it comes to respective selling products on Amazon on 1P. From the anecdotal evidence we've seen, it's supported by conversations amongst our brand team, our brands that we've talked with. These are typically sellers that were less than 10 million in annualized sales. It's also somewhat specific to the product types that they were. It seems to be that if it's not that the cost of servicing these vendor central clients was getting too exorbitant, and the idea is that they can be self-managed in a more efficient way. Uh, is Rise 1P and 3P now, or all 3P? And did you switch to 3P or start out as a 3P initially?
We started out as 3P, so we've been 3P from day one. So I certainly have friends that are on both and have spent a lot of time reading about Vendor, and I've logged into other people's accounts, but no, we've been entirely 3P since day one.
Okay. Uh, will standard descriptions ever display alongside EBC? So brand concepts, or sorry, EBC. Will product yeah. Will the standard descriptions ever display alongside advanced enhanced brand content? Uh, the enhanced brand content, and I'm mistaken, we're talking about the below the fold content on the bottom of the page. Typically, those are going to be after the fact that you have your descriptions and your titles. So the way in which Amazon's algorithm picks up the SEO tokens inside of those names, it gives, and they've changed some of the importance of it, but it gives a majority of the importance to the title, then descriptions as well. There's also meta keyword tags that's available for it as well. The enhanced brand content is a mechanism of showcasing the product, controlling your brand image, being able to put your brand in the best light forward, so you can tell your brand story the most complete.
And on top of that, you also get your brand store when you're in enhanced brand content. So not only do you get the kind of individual product detail listings, but you also get kind of a URL that's more fully about your brand than all the kind of surrounding navigational menus. I'm not sure if that's available on 1P as well, but as a 3P brand, the nice thing about the storefront is, let's say you have 6 flavors, or you have, different permutations of your product, or you want to tell a full story. It's a single URL that you can drive traffic from other advertising platforms to that page, as opposed to, picking one of your flavors and driving all of the traffic to that. So the storefront's certainly a nice thing, and I can't talk with 100% certainty about enhanced brand content versus the product descriptions, but all I can tell you is if you look at our listings or our storefront, every single word of copy has been written by us, and I'm pretty sure for all 3P sellers, from the title to the product description to EBC, it's you, for better or worse, you have to write every word of it.
Yeah, better or worse, I like that. All right, this is going to be the last question. What's the biggest benefit of a 1P and 3P hybrid model? Is this the best way to control pricing? Is this the best way to control pricing? If you're selling your products to Amazon and they control pricing, that still takes some of that control out of your hands. So I think there's just a certain amount. If you do sell 1P, you have lost a little bit of control on your pricing. Now, to the point of what is the ultimate benefit of the 3P hybrid model, the way in which Amazon prices, in addition to demand, is also based upon other sellers inside the buy box at any given period of time. If you are one of the sellers in the buy box who controls your brand, controls your seller ratings, and you do a great job at providing customer service and support for your product, you have good seller rating. You have a good seller ratings and are able to control the buy box, control pricing, win it at a better level than you would if you were better level than you would if you were a arbitrager selling product. What this also allows you to do is keep your price consistent. You don't have to race to the bottom to as low as MAP price when the other third parties are selling the product. You can keep your product at a higher price position to prevent price wars. A lot of what Feedvisor has done, in addition to an amazing Amazon consumer brand survey, which we just released earlier this week, picked up by CNBC and Forbes. Sorry, just had to tap that for 1 second. What we're able to do is is produce a lot of information on how pricing wars work, how pricing wars last very short in duration, and in the process, a brand, a seller can sell out their inventory at the lowest price point possible, reducing their margins and just getting inventory out the door. If you're able to control your price positions, you're able to prevent pricing wars, or at least not be dragged down into it. So when the three sellers who are engaging in this pricing behavior sell out their stock, you'll be there ready with your price at your consistent price at your product at the consistent price level that consumers know to purchase it at. Ready. So again, this is the Consumer Brand Survey. There's a link to it as well. So please feel free to download it. Once again, it was 2,000 consumers that we interviewed to understand how they're engaging with Amazon, how they're purchasing, and their purchasing behavior. This sums it up for us. This is the crux of what we wanted to present today. If there were any individual questions that you might have, one-offs, please feel free to reach out to us. Right here at the bottom of this page is a link to be able to connect with us and we'll be able to get back in touch with you within a couple minutes notice. In addition, I wanted to mention that we're going to be sending out a recording of this webinar tomorrow. So by all means, if there was any questions you had after re-listening to it, feel free to reach back out to us as well, and welcome the opportunity to answer those questions with you on a one-off basis. Ryan, thank you so much, sir. It's an absolute pleasure working with you and talking and doing this webinar. You, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed any of my commentary, the thing that would make me happiest is if you buy us and review us. So Feedvisor promised everyone in attendance of the webinar was going to order a case of rice. So I expect to see somewhere between 68 and 85 orders come through.
Well, thank you for putting me on the spot there, Ryan. Everybody, I really wanted to thank the crowd's time today. It's a pleasure, Ryan, once again speaking with you. And until the next webinar, we just wanted to sign off. Have yourself a great day. Take care.